Imagine a powerful dynasty rooted in the heart of China, forced to flee thousands of miles to the deserts and steppes of Central Asia. This is the story of the Qara Khitai, also known as the Western Liao, a dynasty that blended Chinese traditions, nomadic spirit, and Islamic influences to create a unique empire in a land far from home. It's a tale of survival, conquest, and cultural fusion that sounds almost too wild to be true. Let's dive into this incredible chapter of history. The Qara Khitai, or Western Liao, word to your typical Chinese dynasty. They were originally the Khitans, a nomadic people from the steppes of Manchuria and Mongolia. By the 10th century, they had built the Liao dynasty, ruling over northern China from 907 to 1125. The Khitans were master horsemen, but they adopted Chinese customs like the calendar, imperial titles, and even minted their own coins. They called their empire the Great Liao, a nod to their ambition and power. But in 1125, disaster struck. The Jurchens, another nomadic group, overthrew the Liao dynasty, forcing a group of Khitan survivors to flee west. Led by a brilliant leader named Yelü Dashi, these refugees didn't just survive. They built a new empire in Central Asia, known as the Qara Khitai, or Western Liao, from 1124 to 1218. Why Qara? The term means black in Turkic, possibly tied to the Khitans, dynastic color, or their mystique in Central Asian eyes. To the Chinese, they were the Western Liao, a continuation of their lost empire. To the locals, they were the Black Khitans, a mysterious force from the east. Yelü Dashi didn't waste time. By 1134, he established the Qara Khitai's capital at Balasagun, in modern-day Kyrgyzstan. From there, they conquered a vast region stretching from Uzbekistan to Western Mongolia, including most of Xinjiang. They defeated powerful rivals like the Qara Khitans and even the mighty Seljuks in a stunning victory in 1141, a battle so legendary it inspired the European myth of Prester John, a Christian king thought to rule in the East. What made the Qara Khitai unique was their multicultural empire. They ruled over a mostly Muslim population, but kept their Buddhist and traditional Khitan beliefs, like fire worship and sacrificing a gray ox with a white horse. They used Chinese administrative systems, think imperial seals and coins, but also adopted local titles like Tayangu and Vizier to connect with their Turkic and Muslim subjects. The Qara Khitai practiced religious tolerance and indirect rule, leaving local rulers in place as vassals like the Khwarezm Shahs and Gaochang Uyghurs. This balance of Chinese, nomadic, and Islamic elements created a rare harmony in a diverse region. To Central Asians, the Qara Khitai weren't just foreigners. They were seen as Chinese emperors, and the term Khitai even became synonymous with China in places like Russia and medieval Europe, where it was known as Cathay. But no empire lasts forever. By the early 13th century, the Qara Khitai faced new challenges. The rise of Genghis Khan and his Mongol Empire was unstoppable. At the same time, the Khwarezm Shahs, one of their vassals, were growing bolder. The final blow came from within. In 1211, a Naiman prince named Kuchlug, who had fled from the Mongols, usurped the Qara Khitai throne. Kuchlug's rule was short-lived. In 1218, the Mongols swept in, defeating him and absorbing the Qara Khitai's lands and troops into their growing empire. But the Khitans' legacy didn't vanish. Some survivors fled to southern Persia, where a descendant founded the Kutlug Khanid dynasty in Kerman, ruling under Mongol oversight until 1306. The Qara Khitai's influence lingered. Their name, Khitai, shaped how Central Asians and even Europeans thought of China, and their story showed how a displaced people could forge a new empire in a foreign land. So why is the Qara Khitai's story so fascinating? First, it's a tale of resilience. A defeated dynasty didn't just survive. They built a new empire 3,000 miles from home. Second, they were cultural bridge builders, blending Chinese governance with nomadic traditions and Islamic influences. This wasn't just a Chinese dynasty in Central Asia. It was a melting pot that shaped the region before the Mongols arrived. Their story also challenges how we think about Chinese history. The Khitans were nomads, not Han Chinese, yet they adopted Chinese traditions so deeply that Chinese historians still claim them as a legitimate dynasty. Were they Chinese overlords or nomadic conquerors? Maybe both. Their ability to adapt and rule a diverse empire makes them a standout in medieval history. The Qara Khitai story is a reminder that history is full of surprises. A nomadic people from China fleeing defeat carved out a new empire in the heart of Central Asia. They ruled with tolerance, adapted to their new home, and left a legacy that echoed across continents. Time you think of medieval empires, remember the Qara Khitai, the dynasty that defied borders and made the impossible possible. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.